Hi, everybody. You already know who I am. This is Will with the Inspired Geeks Podcast 616. And I actually have a special guest today for today's episode. I have Troy Markusson. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly.
You got it,
Um,
Will.
but we met through LinkedIn, and he runs a great company called Nerd Outfitters. He also, works in payroll, and we're just going to talk about what it means to be a nerd, his company, and I'm just going to ask him a couple of nerdy questions along the way. So it's going to be a fun interview. But Troy, I just want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah. No, thank Will for having me. Yeah, my name, like you said, my name's Troy. I am a very proud, unapologetic nerd. Many years ago now, at the time, probably my 11, 12-year-old son looked at me one day as I was talking about work and he just looked at me with a disgusted look and was like, "Man, Dad, you're such a nerd." And I was like, darn right I am. Like, you should be proud of that. Like, I'm an unapologetic proud nerd. Like, we run the world. You don't understand. Nerds rule the world. Those yachts, I can guarantee you a nerd owns that yacht, right?
Yeah.
That mansion, you know. And so that kind of started us off. Well, started me first off, just branding myself a little bit more and being proud about it. And in my industry, I actually have the payroll nerd. So, like I said, I am in payroll. I have the payroll nerd handle on TikTok and Instagram and talk about payroll nerdiness. And my wife and daughter last year said, "Hey, look, we need to push this a little bit more and celebrate all things that we're passionate about and elevate all the nerds out there." And so yeah, that's what inspired us to start Nerd Outfitters. And yeah, we're having a great time with it. And we still have our day jobs as well. But yeah, it's been a great beginning, and have made some amazing new friends along the way.
That's awesome. And that's very inspiring. Just I know some of the people that listen to this podcast are also fellow entrepreneurs. So I feel like, they could use that encouragement. So in terms of being a nerd and starting Nerd Outfitters, my first question for you, what tips would you have for nerds out there that kind of also want to be entrepreneurs or maybe have ideas to brand their artwork or their comic books or, something along what you're doing?
Yeah. Just start. Every company out there has fallen flat on their face probably a dozen times right before they got it right. You're not going to learn until you start and give it a try. And there'll be a lot of naysayers out there, and there will be a lot of haters out there. And look, that's just the world we live in. And like, look, that's not your problem. That's their problem. They're the one with the issue. So quiet that noise, and just get out there and start and connections. Start to build. Branch out in your community. Whether that's on the socials or it's through your gaming network or your local comic book store, whatever that is, right? Your peers are going to get behind you. Those that respect you already will get behind you. So listen to them and get feedback, and let them help you along the way.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. And I 100% agree with that sentiment there. And then with your company, Nerd Outfitters, I know you're very bold and proud about, being a nerd. Does that blend over into like your professional work? Like you say, you work in payroll. Do you try to incorporate some, I guess, as much as you can, I would say, some of your nerdy hobbies or just kind of like your nerdy mindset into your job as well?
No, absolutely. When and again, like I look at the word nerd as not as a negative at all, right? It's
Right.
about passion, right? It's about getting into the details. It's about, waking up in the morning and being just super excited, whatever that is, right? If that's a hobby, if that's your work, whatever that is, right? So whatever you're going to do, have passion in it, have fun with it. Nerds, we like to really get into the fine details, right, as well, and really, understand, the minute features of whatever it is that we're passionate about. And yeah, I mean, those are critical skills, in work, right? If you want to elevate yourself. And then, like I said, like be unapologetic about it, right? Like I come to meetings with my passion. Now respectful,
Right.
right?
Right.
But everyone that knows me from a work perspective knows that, hey, Troy really is passionate about this, and the field that I'm in, like we pay every employee in a company. Like I'm very passionate about those responsibilities, and so yeah, I think it's really important to show that that you're passionate and doing a phenomenal job and always looking to get better. So yeah, I mean, for me, that's critical. Obviously, right, a lot of you, you know, growing up, I was always big into sport card collecting and trading cards, right? And okay, well, who are the new rookies up? I want to get their cards, right?
Right.
Like things like that. Like all of that has translated over into long-term thinking, understanding supply and demand, right? Portfolio management, right? Right? All of those things, and whatever your hobby is, right? You can. There are definitely skills there that you can very easily translate over into your work environment to make you even a more successful leader, individual contributor, whatever that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. I was thinking that as you said it too, like I was gonna tell the audience members that you can use your hobbies and whatever you're passionate about in your professional career too. I know I use some of my nerdy hobbies, like I'm very passionate about writing and comic books, and I use that skill to help write reports in my government job. So I was like, you can always apply your nerdy skill set somewhere in some fashion. So I always just try to reiterate that with my audience too, because they ask me as an entrepreneur and a nerd, like how do I do it? And I'm like, that kind of helps keep me sane too,
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit. So that's
Yeah.
that's really awesome.
Yeah, we'll all we've got teenage kids, right? And of course all teenagers, right? They love their gaming, right?
Yeah,
And parents are, now obviously we don't want them, playing 19 hours a day, but there are real skills there, right? Making fast in the moment decisions, right? Exploring new worlds, right? Trying to pick pieces and start to put things together, make decisions, right? The gaming community being online, right? Being able to connect. And of course, we've all been on those games before where we're dealing with people on the other end that aren't that pleasant or might be very much hateful,
yeah,
right? Which is
yeah.
disappointing to see. But look, hey, that just all prepares you for real life, right? You're going to be in a workplace at some point where you're going to have people yelling at you and if hey I've dealt with this before in a different way, right? Yeah, it all prepares you for real life, and I'm very passionate about, even just in my career in developing people, just every experience you have, there is development and growth there. So I challenge everyone listening and watching to like look at your hobbies and take some time, like how is this really helping me in real life, whether it's cosplay or anime, whatever that is,
Yeah.
right? There are absolutely skills that are going to elevate you and make you a stronger person in life.
Absolutely. And then speaking of nerds, I did have some nerd questions for you as
Yeah.
well. So what are some of I know you touched upon it in a previous question there about collecting cards, but what are some of your current nerd hobbies? Are you also into gaming or comic books or cosplay?
Yeah, yeah. For me, I would say the couple of areas right now. So yeah, I still would, collect a little bit with cards and jerseys and things like that, autographs. And again, trying to understand, okay, who's kind of the next big big athlete out there, right? So that's definitely an area I still enjoy on the gaming front. And I love my sport. So anytime I can, get in some Madden, or I'm Canadian, so NHL, hockey,
Yeah.
any of those games, or even even the more strategic, like take in the GM mode of running a baseball team or something like that. So for me, I can get lost on those, and if I'm on a 4, 5, 6 hour flight, many times I'll be on this device right here, right,
Yeah.
doing my managing my Major League Baseball team through a 162 game season. So I can really nerd out on those sorts of things for sure.
Absolutely. And so you do play online like NHL, all that stuff, like those games online as well?
I do a little bit of the online. I
Mm.
uh, I do enjoy more of like the season, taking it through the season aspect
Right.
of it, and kind of managing my team. So that doesn't typically have as much of the online capabilities. And again, like I'll have to do it sometimes, offline as well, like not having internet connection. So yeah, that's yeah, not a whole lot online. During the pandemic, got into that a little bit, having more time at home and whatnot. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say I do play MLB online a lot. But
Uh,
like you mentioned, I've kind of cut back because of how people are online, like you alluded to there. They can get really toxic and hateful up there, but I do enjoy it just to play with friends across the country and the world and stuff too.
yeah,
So
yeah,
um
no, absolutely, yeah. It is sad. We've all dealt with that before. And
mhm,
again, like that's just not in the gaming community as well, right? There's
right.
toxic workplaces, right? We come across toxic people every day, and I cannot stress enough, like, and look, it hurts, right? Words hurt,
Yeah.
right? But just I want everyone always, and look, I have a teenage daughter, right? So she goes through hurtful things in school and whatnot. Like, look, that's not your problem. Like, that's their problem. Like, like, and never let somebody else determine your worth. So, again, like I do think some of that online and is training for the real world, right? We can't just live in a bubble and you're gonna get yelled at some point in your life. So, um, but yeah, I agree, Will. Social media, online gaming, right? It gives a safe space for a lot of those people that are just really hateful people and toxic people. But yeah, don't ever let anybody bring you down.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I've spoke about it on the podcast before. I mentioned to the audience that a lot of people grew up loving, these characters like Spider-Man and Superman. And I'm like, for me, they played a huge part in just, not all the way, of course, my parents, and my background, but they also played a huge part in me just developing me to be a kind person, to be a person that aspired to be just a good human being that displayed the same attributes as these superheroes that I grew up, idolizing and reading about in comic books. But unfortunately, some people in the nerd community go the other way and kind of and kind of shift towards, in my perspective, some supervillain type tendencies there
right,
at
right,
times.
yes,
So
yeah,
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 I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of nerd outfitters, I see like your hoodie there. You always have these bold statements like the nerd revolution. So, in different um things that I've seen on your website. So, what do they represent to you? I know you're again, I know you said you're a proud nerd there, but like, do you want just people to just know when they wear your apparel that, hey, I'm a nerd, I'm proud of it? Is that just the gist of it, or does it have deeper meaning for you?
Yeah, for me, definitely, yeah. I think it's about being proud, right, of who you are, and like don't hide never hide who you are, right? Like
Mhm.
this world is made up of billions of authentic people. And, that's what makes the world a beautiful place is everyone is different and celebrate. We should all celebrate instead of hiding who we are. Right. So yeah, it's, some of it is, we've got some fun ones, some fun sayings and some new things that we're coming out with for spring as well. And my daughter's designed even, we got to get them up on the website, like the sweatpants with some smart sayings like smart assets on the butt and different things like that. And but like
Yeah.
so have some fun with it, and and we're gonna come out with a muscle shirt and whatnot, and some tank tops for women in the summer to have some fun with it too. But yeah, it's really just about being proud and putting that message out there. That look like we are here. It is a revolution. Like we are taking over. We run this world.
Yeah.
Um, we designed a shirt about a month ago. It just says like we built the internet. You're welcome, right? Like yes,
Right.
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 Like just everything you look at in this world is because of us, and so we are going to recognize ourselves for that, and you need to recognize us as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so do you plan to expand and maybe do some of the Comic-Con runs just to promote your company as well?
We definitely we definitely are looking at that, Will.
Hmm.
For now, I can tell you within different work communities, we are starting to show up at conferences. We found so really, at first when my wife made me the first, I had the payroll nerd hoodie.
Hmm.
And as I started my Instagram and TikTok channel last year and started wearing my payroll nerd stuff, I had random people starting to reach out to me. Oh, where can I get a payroll nerd? Right?
Yeah.
I'm a payroll nerd also. I'm an HR nerd. Right? And so we found a lot of people in the workplace very passionate around whatever their field is in, and they want to wear their nerd uniform as well.
Hmm.
So we're hitting up some of the large work conferences. But yes, absolutely, we are looking at getting out to a number of conferences. I'm in Dallas, so we've got lots of opportunities here. So yeah, we're starting to branch out there as well. And of course, we're also promoting hard, on socials for any big events. And look, it's not just about, like having to wear, the Nerd Revolution or, one of our standard hoodies or t-shirts, right? We do a lot of custom stuff as well. Some fun custom stuff and for work teams and stuff like that. And so yeah, if anyone wants anything to show up to Comic-Con or anything else, yeah, reach out to us, and we're happy to collaborate with you on a design and get your uniform ready for you to stand out.
Absolutely. I know personally I'll be actually heading over to San Diego Comic-Con in July, which is like the Super Bowl for us nerds here. So I definitely will. You'll be hearing from me. I'm gonna be sporting one of your shirts there while I'm out there. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, hey, and yeah, maybe we'll have to get out there with you as well.
yeah, I would love to see you and show you around. It's a whole different beast, those Comic Cons, especially San Diego. It's a monster. So
Yeah, yeah, great.
um yeah, absolutely. And then yeah, did you have any other thing you wanted to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think we'll just I mean we've touched on it so much already, but yeah, just for us, right, just celebrate, right? Celebrate you being different. Like, before we kind of kicked anything off, like we spent a lot of time talking about like what's our mission, like what are our values, not just as a startup, but like what are our values that we look for in life, right? So celebrate being different, right? Be bold, right? Bold is not a bad thing, right? Don't hide your boldness, right? You got to do it in a respectful manner and choose the right environments for it, right? Never change up your authenticity. Um, and then respect. I mean, we wanted to really make sure that respect being non-negotiable is one of our key values, and that's just in life as well, right? Like there's, and we see it all over the place that there is a lack, seems to be more of a lack of respect nowadays, just everywhere. And for us, that's non-negotiable. So, I hope we can turn the corner on that. I hope we can be part of that. And yeah, I'd encourage anyone that is struggling with any of that to reach out to us. And, we're happy to connect and talk. And yeah, embrace your nerdiness, embrace who you are, celebrate who you are every day.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, like you mentioned before, audience, you can follow Troy on LinkedIn. Nerd Outfitters is also on all social media platforms as well,
Yes,
Facebook,
yeah, yeah.
Instagram.
So yeah, we're on Nerd Outfitter on all of the socials. No S on it. And then yeah, myself, Troy Markusson, on LinkedIn. Nerd Outfitters is also on LinkedIn. So yeah, yeah. Let's connect. And look, we want feedback. We do appreciate real feedback. Not hateful feedback, but productive feedback. So yeah, we're falling flat on our faces. We learn as well. That this is new to us, but we dust ourselves off. And I talk often in work and life about, the crawl, walk, run analogy, right? So we're definitely still in those crawling stages. I feel like we're not making as many face plants now. We're getting more confident. We're building some momentum. Soon we'll be holding ourselves up at the table and, you know, maybe start to let go of the table and take a step. But yeah, we need, we want feedback from the community. So yeah, encourage everyone to check us out.
Awesome, awesome. Again, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time here to just chat with me on the podcast. And I'm sure we'll be in touch because I really enjoy what you're doing with Nerd Outfitters.
Yeah, great. Well, yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, let's find a time to connect and get together.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, my
All right.
friend.
All right. Thank you.